And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It's your boy, Grade A Fantasy. Welcome back. I apologize. First off, y'all, welcome back to the wide receiver show preview for week 6 on the FanDuel slate. I apologize. I did have the running back episode recorded, but I just didn't upload it, so that's why I was like, let me let the running back video breathe, and then get whatever exposure it gets, and then I'll put out the wide receiver tonight. And then tomorrow, what I'll do will be the tight end and the defensive show, and then that'll be the end of the review for week. That'll be the end of the review for week 6. So let's get right into it. So once again, the theme is here that for every position, this will be a very interesting and somewhat difficult week. We'll see if in any other injury reports opens up at least a little bit of value. But once again, everything is priced up, tightly priced, so it's going to be an interesting strategy for everyone to build. It's pretty much basically around the main two sites, DK and FanDuel. So let's get right into it. Puka is basically the wide receiver Jonathan Taylor because of the volume, the touchdown equity, and everything else. So he's basically almost 5 figures. If he has another great game, I think he'll also be 10,000 on the next slate. Jackson Smith and Jigba. He's a pair, but you save 8 off Puka at 9 even. You got Jamar Chase against Green Bay. He did show some life last week in fantasy garbage time. Like I said, it's people like him, Justin Jefferson, that has showed in the past, even with bad quarterback play, they're going to get their games where they get their volume in their fantasy numbers. I understand that says questionable with CeeDee Lamb, but I don't think he plays this week, to be honest. And Buka, basically, I'm already going to stamp it. He's Rookie of the Year against San Francisco. Tough matchup, but right now Mbuka is pretty much cooking whatever defense and whoever's in front of him. It doesn't seem to matter. Right there with Puka is our other cover boy, Davante Adams. They're in a great matchup with Baltimore. I think even if Baltimore does get some of their people back, whoever comes off the injury report, I think it doesn't matter. I think both Davante and Puka will just shred them. So it's viable. Gonna be pretty pricey if you decide to do it, but I think Stafford doubles are viable. George Pickens, the volume continues with no CeeDee Lamb at Carolina. Carolina, yes, fantasy-wise, has been doing pretty well with guarding the pass, but like I said, this is still Carolina, and the Dallas Cowboys are a very high-octane offense. When it comes to other top plays, we'll go down a bit. Now, he has a Q tag there. It seems like there's a bit of an injury bug with the Chargers now, so we'll see if Quentin Johnston makes it through practice, but I definitely like him against Miami. Sometimes real life football doesn't really fully correlate with the actual fantasy stats, but the way Miami does not play like they're 7th ranked. Toughest defense against wide receivers. Like that Miami defense is bad. It's not Dallas and Ravens bad, but it's definitely down there. So if he's healthy, I'm definitely going Quentin Johnson. As we keep going down here, other matchups that I do like, you gotta like Waddle just because of the volume that he's gonna get. But I like T-Mac against that Dallas. I mean, you see Dallas on the schedule, as long as they're not the Sunday night game or Thursday or Monday night, you gotta put whoever they're going against because, it just raises their fantasy expectations. I mean, tenfold pretty much. So T-Mac is looking pretty good. It'll be interesting to see who comes back from the 49ers, but if they do, like I said, pass funnel against Tampa Bay, I will like Pearsall and Jawan Jennings. If we continue there, I definitely like Ladd, Keenan, along with Quentin Johnston, especially if Quentin Johnston's hurt, then the not only whatever value might pop up you could use, but I definitely like Ladd and Keenan's status to go up and their expectation of fantasy points to go up. When it comes to getting to some value, I think some of the cheapest stacks, even though the quarterback is pretty pricey, Jordan Love, I absolutely love Romeo Dobbs, Matthew Golden, and Tavian Wicks. 56, 50. What we got here? 56, 58, and then we got 62 for Dobbs. Definitely love those options. Like I said, I only like really stacking them when, you have the injuries or whatever, and then the wide receiver core is a little bit, it's a little bit more condensed, even though Tucker Kraft is having a great year. Michael Pittman's always an option. He's had a solid year, 62. I feel like he's just been underpriced all year. He hasn't boomed yet. He's just, to me, real life fantasy, he's playing more like a close to 7,000 wide receiver than his actual fantasy value of 6,200. If you want, I guess you could talk about Myers and Tucker. It is Tennessee. It is a bad Tennessee defense, so there are options there. Myers at 6,061, cheap Geno stacks. Like I said, I would love to see if Jawan Jennings is finally getting healthy. Some of these guys, if they stay out for another week, I think they'll be set for the rest of the year, battling off injuries that they either been battling from preseason. Pearsall got hurt during the season. Jawan Jennings basically hasn't been right since the beginning of the training camp. And it looks like another one of my favorite plays, and at a low price, Stephon Diggs the way he's been playing should grab up a lot of ownership. It seems like he's finally shook off the rust from last year's injury. Started off very slow, and now back-to-back 100-yard games. He's been in 19 targets, 16 receptions in the past 2 weeks. Has a great match. I'll definitely have him in some Drake May stacks going against New Orleans, being horrible against the pass. 9th against opponent rank in fantasy. This is one of those where I'm not looking at fantasy numbers. I've watched a decent amount of the Saints because I've been picking Jawan Jennings, and there's been a couple of good spots where I've picked the Saints defense at home. So even though I do like Saints defense at home, I will still be going with Stephon Diggs. On the other side, you still got Olave and Shaheed, 59 and 58. New England sells out the run. They are vulnerable with the pass. The question is, who might get the Christian Rodriguez shadow, but nevertheless, that's an instant game that could shoot out. And then on the end of that, besides Wicks, other options, Josh Downs, Cavante Turpin if he's healthy. Chris Godwin has a Q tag, cheap price, but this slate is pretty starved of value. If anything, going down this far, and now so the Tillman's hit the IR, so Alec Pierce. I mean, maybe you can look at some Parker Washington, Ryan Flournoy for Dallas had a bit of a coming out game last week, so he could be an option. Alec Ayermanor could be something, but there's not really much. If Diami Brown is healthy, I might take a few shots at him if you're looking for some volume and the possibility of a big play. 4 targets, 3 targets, 7 targets, 4 targets. He does get looked at by Trevor Lawrence, so that's definitely an interesting pick right there. I have no issues going back with Malik Washington. I just hope that he could possibly be used in a different way. He's kind of the gadget guy and the behind the screens guy, so if he can get some open field, then hey, if he breaks one at home, there's a possibility. Anything else here? Obviously with Dallas, it's probably the first time I mentioned his name all year, but Xavier Legette is an option. Jalen Tolbert, always an option. That's another piece of, kind of like a home run, throw a dart at some value. Maybe he gets a catch and gets a big play. But after that, I'm not really seeing anything else. Oh, actually, one of my favorite plays, it would be right here. For a game that could go up and down, and if Dallas gets a decent lead and Bryce Young is forced to throw, I definitely, now he hasn't done much since week 2, But I can see week 6 being a random week 2 for Hunter Renfrow. Like I said, everybody's projections go straight. Whatever somebody has a projection of, you definitely got to like add maybe 5 or 6 points to it. Because just because you're going against Dallas, there's more of a, instead of hitting your ceiling factor, there's more of what's the possibility of what this player at this position can boom at. And this could be, like I said, it only happened once in 5 weeks, but this could be one of those where you could get the random Hunter Renfrow week. 20.3, hey, he could get anywhere from, at 4,700 on FanDuel, you'll be happy with 12, 13 floor. But then he could bust open for like something like this underneath and maybe get some end zone looks like he did in week 2. And after that, no, there's absolutely nothing here. I will not go with Nick Westbrook-Akine. He's not doing anything right now. He's not really doing anything right now, even with the Tyreek Hill injury. I think since the Tyreek Hill injury, I think he's literally had, I don't even think he's been targeted yet. There hasn't been anything with him at all. So that's pretty much it on that. There are some value options, and this is one of those, you're going to be starved for value if there's nothing else going on. You're going to be starved for value, and I think you can, chase it at the wide receiver position in a bit. Obviously, Haskins, whoever gets called up for the running back position. Whoever gets called up for the running back position in LA, we'll see. But anyway, we're just looking at a lot of, it's a fun slate to figure out, but so many people are priced up. But let's get right back into it. So if I was say new format, how I've been doing it, I'll let you know how I break it down. Once I review everything, I'll say what's my favorite pay-ups, mid, and pay-downs. So when it comes to pay-ups, favorite pay-ups, even though all these guys are pretty, all these guys are pretty good. Favorite pay-ups are Puka and Davante Adams. And I guess, we'll consider this mid-range, 75 to like mid-6s. I like George Pickens. If Quentin Johnson's healthy, yes. DK Metcalf is an option, but not one of my favorites. Jalen Waddle, Terrell McMillan. If Ricky Pearsall is healthy, then that's a yes as well. And then Ladd and Keenan. When it comes to the paydowns, as we're getting close to the 6s, the entire Green Bay wide receiver core is there with me. Michael Pittman and Stephon Diggs. Thank you very much for tuning in. The next episode coming up will be tomorrow. Tight ends and defenses will be done back to back. Thank you for tuning in once again. This is your boy Grade A Fantasy, and I'm signing off.